Let me start with something that might challenge the way you've been thinking about marriage. Most people believe that the quality of their marriage depends on who they married. Well, what if that's not the case? What if the quality of your marriage has far less to do with who you married and far more to do with the laws you're living?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Emo Show, where we talk about all things relational.
I'm going to ask you to humor me just for a minute. Allow yourself to conduct what I would consider a thought experiment. In life, outcomes aren't created by what we want or what we intended. They're actually created by the laws we live. Now, I get it. There are things that happen to you, right? And there's things that you do. It's a combination of those two, the things that you do in the situations that you're in, that can produce very predictable outcomes. Look, you can want to be in shape, but if you don't follow the laws of nutrition and exercise, your body is not going to respond to your desire. You can want financial freedom, but if you don't live the laws of money, the outcome won't match the intention. I think it's crazy because we understand in almost every other area of life that there are laws that predicate, success or achievement or accomplishment, except for in marriage. Like, think about piano. We don't think, well, if you're a good person, you intend to be good at piano, then you're going to be good at piano. Or violin, or soccer, or basketball, or football, or golf. Like, everything on the planet, we go, yeah, if you want to get good, you have to do specific things. But we don't apply that concept to marriage. In marriage, we tend to believe that love, intention, or even our commitment determine the outcome of marriage. But I propose that relationships follow laws too. And, speaking of three different, types of relationships, here's something pretty interesting, I think. I'm not the only one that thinks that there are three different types of marriages. Okay, there's probably thousands of different types of marriages, but Dr. John Gottman, the world's leader in marriage research, in his book, The 7 Principles for Making Marriages Work, he describes three types of marriages that I think kind of coincide, at least to some degree, to the three different types of laws. So he described the volatile type of marriage, that's one category, conflict avoidant, and then the validating. So three types of marriage based on his research. So volatile is a marriage where both partners kind of focus on themselves. Conflict avoiding, that's pretty self-explanatory. They just focus on peace. They avoid the conflict. And then the validating type marriages, they focus on understandings and, connecting. It's the beginning of a connection. It's the beginning of intimacy. And these different levels of marriage are based on the patterns of behavior that they follow, not their intentions or how much they love each other. Because let's be real. No two people get married and says, hey, you know what? I love you so much. I would love a mediocre marriage with you. So why do marriages become mediocre? Or even less than mediocre? And it's because the way they live. In other words, the laws they follow. So let's look at the different types of laws of living and look at how those laws inform us on the different types of marriages. Okay, so and depending on which laws you live, that's going to be the kind of marriage you get. So let's start with telestial. Telestial describes all things, whatever is selfish and impulsive and natural. It's all about taking care of yourself. Whatever feels good, just do it. Eat, drink, and be merry, all right? The attitude is all about doing what comes natural. That's telestial. All right, let's look at terrestrial. So terrestrial is next level up. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. The mindset's all about fairness, tit for tat, If you treat me poorly, I'll treat you poorly. Why should I be nice if you aren't going to be nice? In the terrestrial realm, it's about scorekeeping. See, it's about fairness. We negotiate behaviors. If you do this, I'll do that. And if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And we want to be judged for our intentions, okay, but not for our actions. We want to be judged for what we are trying to do, not the impact that we actually have. So if I'm trying to resolve an issue and I come across wrong, I want you to give me the grace that I was actually trying to resolve an issue, even though I came across it pretty spicy. You see, that's terrestrial. I want you to not hold me accountable, okay? What do you do when someone's not easy to love? Because let's be honest, you and me, there's going to be moments we're not going to be easy to love. And our partners, there are going to be times when they're not going to be easy to love. If we live the terrestrial law, that's when we treat them the way they treat us. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You see? But the celestial law is a different one. It's about going the extra mile. It's love your enemy. Do good to those who hurt you. Pray for your enemies. Bear one another's burdens. In the celestial realm, we operate out of charity. Charity is the driving force of how, charity not like giving to people who don't have anything. Charity is like the pure love of Christ. It seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked. That's charity. Charity endureth forever. So when we respond to somebody who is, not easy to love in that moment, and we are sweet and kind and understanding and supportive and validating, that's charity. Notice that's celestial. Celestial is you give it right back to him. In terrestrial, right, it's tit for tat. And then in celestial, it's, hey, you're mean to me, I'm going to be nice to you. So what's the mindset? The mindset of celestial is not fairness. Okay? It's, I know you're going to have bad days, and I got you covered. It's love-centered. It's charity-focused. It's about me becoming a better version of me. I want you to imagine that there are 3 responsibilities for people who want a celestial relationship. Okay, there's 3 core responsibilities. And again, not everyone wants to have a celestial marriage. Okay, totally cool. You don't want a celestial marriage, you don't even worry about what I'm saying. But if you want a marriage that's amazing, out of this world, like crazy good. So here are the 3 responsibilities that I think that we need to consider and hopefully embrace if we want to have a celestial marriage. Responsibility number 1, compensate for your partner's weakness. Compensate for your partner's weakness. We just did that, an example of that, when the wife was all spicy and angry and agitated, and instead of him kind of putting her in her place, he supported her. He showed understanding and validation. This supports one of the scriptures in the New Testament about bearing one another's burdens. So when I say compensate for your partner's weaknesses, what I'm saying is cover for your partner. See, if they're snippy and snappy, it's because they're not having a good day. They're feeling agitated, irritated, they're stressed out. And the last thing they need is for you to tell them they're being snippy and snappy, because that's not going to help. So if they're snippy and snappy, respond with understanding and validation. That's responsibility number 1. Compensate for your partner's weaknesses. You can't live there 100%, okay? Because we're going to talk about responsibility number 3, about how to bring it up. But responsibility number 2, and this is where I get a lot of pushback. I'm going to say this, and I don't mean to offend anyone. But people who don't want to be accountable, don't like this responsibility. And when you don't want to be accountable, think about what that means. That means you want to be selfish. Because here's the reality. You want other people to be accountable. But you don't want to be accountable. You see, that's not living in harmony with the celestial. So I don't mean to offend anybody, but I want you to open your mind to see, why aren't you willing to be accountable? And I have a pretty good hunch that the reason why people don't want to be accountable is because they feel like if they acknowledge that they are not, if they acknowledge that they're falling short in areas, that they feel like their lovability might be reduced. And that's not true. If we're humble and accountable, our lovability actually grows. We become more desirable and more lovable. But the fear is, I think, in a lot of people that if they acknowledge that they're falling short, then that somehow gives the other person an excuse to treat them poorly. And maybe that's true if they're being terrestrial. Got it? So in this second responsibility, it's about personal accountability. It's about becoming the very best version of yourself, custom made for your partner. See, if we want a celestial relationship, we want one that's amazing, then it's important for us. We want to know. We want to grow. We want to know what our partner's opinions, preferences, dreams, desires, and once we know that, we want to exceed our partner's hopes and expectations in marriage. See, if my partner wants flowers, it's not I just get her flowers. If my partner wants flowers, the celestial way is I don't just buy her flowers. I learn to understand why she likes me to get her flowers, so I can truly appreciate the value the flowers mean to her and what it means to her when I take the initiative to get them for her. See, I'm attuning into her frequency, becoming one with her, not morphing my personality. It's growing to be a better version of myself, custom built for her. I want to know everything about what she needs to feel absolutely loved. Any issues that I have that prevent me from showing up in a way that blows her mind, that's my responsibility. I want to overcome those things. That brings me to my third responsibility. My third responsibility is to get the love that I want by sharing my needs and preferences and opinions and in the things I would like to experience in a relationship as an invitation, not an expectation. If it's an expectation, then that's going to lead to external motivation. So she's doing it because I need her to do it. See, that's expectation. If it's an invitation, then that person's going to respond. That motivation is going to be internal. Now, internal motivation not only increases the likelihood of the behavior changing, but it's changing the nature of the person. So if the changing of the nature of the person, so in therapy language, you call that second order change. If it's second order change of character, values, beliefs, then first order change of behavior will be consistent over time. So that way there's true growth, not just adaptation. Like as soon as you guys do that, then what do you guys get? You get this beautifully custom-built, tailor-made, like choreographed, smooth and creamy, delightful relationship so that you can attack life together as a team, because life isn't going to be easy for you, okay? But one of the things that shouldn't be hard is the pain that comes from disconnection in the relationship. See, that's something that we can resolve. We can do that at any time. So we can handle the challenges, the difficulties that life is going to give you. And if we do it that way, guess what? The relationship gets stronger and stronger and stronger. So the sooner you can get on the same page, with knowing and then, exceeding your partner's expectations, the sooner you can experience marital bliss for the rest of your life. Why wait till you're 80 or 90 years old before you finally get it figured out when you only have 5 more years of life to live? We should be doing it like eagerly, tenaciously, relentlessly for the first 10 years of marriage, so the rest of our lives can be amazing and sweet. Okay? Because I don't want to wait. You want to wait for marital bliss? Or maybe not even get it until you're on the brink of death? Not me. So if we're going to do that, if we're going to be relentless with how we bring things up and share, I thought I'd give you just a strategy for how to do this. I call it the 3 steps of complaining, even though it doesn't sound very pretty. It's actually a pretty amazing process. The first step is you share your feelings and your reasons. So it is your preferences. You're trying to share your feelings in a clear, direct, and sensitive way. You're using vulnerability instead of hostility. Don't come across angry, irritable, frustrated, like sad, disappointed, hurt, confused, because vulnerable language elicits empathy. But hostile language triggers defensiveness. And if I'm going to bring something up, I actually want my partner to really hear me out with their heart and not get defensive or reactive, okay? The second step I do is I put myself in my partner's shoes. And so I just transition into, but if I put myself in your shoes, you're probably, and then I explain their point of view, their perspective, assuming the best of intentions, putting him in the most positive, most beautiful light. I share what I think they're thinking about my complaint, my first step. So step 1, I share my feelings and reasons in a clear, direct, and sensitive way. Vulnerability, not hostility. Number 2, I put myself in their shoes. How do they see it? What's going on in their head and heart? And then the third step, super easy, I just check in.